Hi there, everyone. Tanner Duncan with Byte Speed here. Super excited about this webinar today. Um Ricotta has been a passion of mine. School safety and security has been a passion of mine for the past several years, and it's obviously something that's super important across the nation. So I feel that this is an important webinar, and we want to be as informational as possible, provide some answers, and um, let you know what we do know, try to find answers to stuff that we don't know, and kind of go from there. So we're gonna make a couple introductions. We have Will Rhodes, who's one of the three sled reps in Iowa for Ricotta. He's going to be going through a little bit of a product demonstration later in the presentation. He's also going to be talking about what we know so far about the funds, um, kind of going from there. Then we have two of our customers in the state that are both big avid security users. Both have a lot of Ricotta product in district, so they can speak to speak to the products. So that's going to be really powerful to hear from both of them. They're going to be talking about not only their deployments, but how they can see their schools using these funds. And then we just had Daisy add on too. She's one of the Ricotta reps on the eastern half of the state. So some of you guys might recognize her as well. Um, with that, I will pass it over to Will, and you can take it away. Thanks everyone for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Tanner. Hey guys, Will Rhodes here, account manager for Iowa, most things northwest of Des Moines, and K-12. So great to meet everyone. Thanks for carving out the time to be on. And Tanner nailed it. Yeah. So basically, we want to be a resource here, introduce you to a little bit about the funding and what we know so far with the government funding, and then also introduce you to Ricotta if you haven't really seen it yet. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and share my screen out. And please, as you have questions, please enter those in the chat and we'll be sure to answer those at the end. So, as you guys know, on June 14th, Governor Reynolds did announce $100 million dedicated to school funding to increase safety in the state for Iowa's 327 public school districts and 183 non-public independent schools. Now, people have been scheduling these assessments already, and I'll actually go ahead and pop into the CASA dashboard here. So we'll be sure to link everyone this via email just right after our call here. And I do believe only superintendents can access this. However, you scroll down, you can see the school safety funding and a breakdown of the funds. So you can see there's 75 million available for school safety improvement funds. So that is defined as hardening, especially entrances, I believe. Again, it's still a little vague, but we're also seeing 7.5 million for vulnerability assessments. That's going to be provided by the government, where you can actually jump into the CASA dashboard, which I'll do in a second, and schedule your assessment today. But 6 million for critical incident mapping technology, 4.5 million radios for schools, 1.5 million for digital applications and software for threat reporting and monitoring, and then the 5.5 million operational funding through 2026. Now, I don't have access to this as I am not actually a part of the Iowa K-12, but you would just access this via the other section of the CASA dashboard. So what that means is up to $50,000 available per building to make security upgrades. Essentially how this is going to work is you have someone from Department of Homeland Security come out, do an assessment with you. From there, you're going to go ahead and submit projects, and those can get approved. Go ahead and move forward with those projects, and then that'll be served back to you on a reimbursement basis. Again, a focus on entry hardening and kind of tying up some existing vulnerabilities that may be found. And then projects are intentionally or hopefully trying to get approved by the time school starts is this Bureau's real goal to this. So more or less, that's what we know at this time. I think more funding will become available. I do know they're planning on emailing this link out to all the superintendents in the state and principals, things of that nature. shortly. So I would expect that probably this week or next, the very latest. With that, I'll actually go ahead and pass the mic over to Jason Kurthier with Southeast Polk Community School District and kind of get his insight on what his experience has been with Ricotta so far.
Okay, thanks, Will. It doesn't look like I'm allowed to start my camera. It says the host has blocked it, but that's okay with me. I don't mind talking without my face out there. So anyway, I'm Jason Kerr, Technology Director for Southeast Polk Schools. We have about 7,000 kids. When Tanner asked me to kind of speak on behalf of Ricotta, he kind of gave me just kind of a brief outline what to follow, so kind of provide a history where we were at with our security and how we came upon Ricotta, and just kind of a real brief history. So I'll try to keep it brief. It was 2011 when I came to Southeast Polk, and at the time we had milestone system with access cameras that we inherited. We had door access at the junior high and high school, and just a smattering maybe of door access at some other buildings, but not much. It was when the Sandy Hook shooting took place in 2012-13. I think at that point, a lot of schools acted. So we immediately put in buzz-in systems. We used the A-phone solution in all of our locations. And at the same time, I think we added some door access, badge access at the time for those entrances of the elementary buildings, which previously didn't have it. But looking at our security camera infrastructure back in 2011 and 12, we kind of struggled a little bit with our infrastructure, just maintaining it, keeping things up to date. We toggled between a few different vendors, trying to find a good fit with a vendor that would be paying attention to when things are coming due and making sure that we're staying up to date on the server side and that things were just running smoothly. But we honestly struggled with every vendor that we chose to help us with Milestone and the access cameras. So it was sometime in the 2018-19 school year that we learned about Ricotta, and it might have been when Lance Lennon or somebody up north there implemented some of the Ricotta cameras first. I think they were the first in the state, either Lance or Carl Hare. And so we arranged a demonstration, and really very quickly within the demonstration, Keith Lyles, who I work with closely on this type of stuff, realized that the management interface was simplistic and very user-friendly, didn't require an expensive server infrastructure to maintain. The cameras had 30-day retention, unlimited storage in the cloud, and they had a pretty good feature set at that time. But what was also impressive is that they were continually updating their product on a regular basis. Back then, it might even been on a weekly basis, but they had a pretty good roadmap of where they wanted to go. And by mid 2018-19, we chose to pilot at our district office, our transportation office, and building and grounds, and then one at each elementary playground. And really within weeks of deployment, the users, the principals that had to use them, we provided very minimal training, got them on. We were able to show our secondary principals kind of what capabilities and features it had. They were very impressed and were very interested in moving forward. But to do our due diligence, we did demonstrate, we had a little demo of the Genetec management suite, which honestly we didn't spend a lot of time with because it just wasn't nearly as intuitive or user-friendly as Ricotta. So summer of 2020, we installed over 250 Ricotta cameras district-wide. Majority of those were junior high and high school, with 2 to 4 cameras at each elementary, and those were all exterior cameras, playground, entrance, and whatnot. And then during the summer of 2020, we also started piloting Ricotta's door access solution. And we actually also did the environmental sensors. We piloted one of those. So in 2021, that summer, we went ahead and did district-wide door access with Ricotta. I think we have 4 to 6 spaces at the high school that have the environmental sensors. And the only reason we haven't expanded is just currently funding. We're just waiting for funding and it to be a priority in terms of the vape sensors and whatnot in our buildings. We're currently not at a standstill. We are taking a little bit of a breather, but we still have a new high school stadium that's in development. We have a new 6-7 building and then a future elementary. So still a lot of planning around the Verkada products that are going to go into those buildings as well. And this really wasn't part of the agenda, but one of our focuses now is a unified two-way radio system throughout the district. We currently just have a hodgepodge solution of two-way radios with limited connectivity and no emergency type functionality. So we're looking at some solutions that this grant will help with that have an emergency type solution, a button you can press that immediately contacts, in our instance, it'd be Polk County or Altoona PD, Pleasant Hill PD. But that's one of the things we're looking at now. So that was my quick overview, Will.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jason. That was awesome. And with that, Brent, would you be willing to pop on here and kind of share your experience as well?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so Brent Gersma, I'm the Director of Technology at Greene County Schools. I guess I was first introduced to Verkada security cameras in 2018, I believe, at an iTech session. And I was pretty blown away by the potential they possessed, just from a cloud standpoint, management and whatnot. So then I took the job at Greene County Community School District in 2019, and we actually had a new construction project for our high school. So we built the school, and we had selected Verkada to go into that school. And then we actually transitioned our middle school from an older building to the high school. So instead of moving cameras, we actually were, like Jason, we were on a milestone server with access cameras as well. Instead of keeping those cameras there, we actually pulled them all out and we put these Verkada cameras in. Had a lot of problems with the access cameras, what blob is that walking down the hall? The clarity wasn't real great. And we had some motorized cameras that actually were not functioning anymore. So we definitely needed to change. So with the opportunity to have the new construction and the transition, it just worked out really well. So just recently, our elementary, we had milestone and access cameras in there. We this summer swapped those out and put these Verkada cameras in, which have been I can't even say how much better. It's just not even close. And so as Jason mentioned, from a convenience standpoint and a training user experience standpoint, so much easier. Principals, superintendents, and tactical staff are able to access the buildings that they need to, so we can assign privileges. We've had incidents, as much as I hate to say it, where we've had to send police footage, and it's really easy through the Verkada portal. Basically, you just type in an email address or send them a little text message to a phone number, and they are able to access footage that either from a live standpoint or from an archive standpoint that would show an incident that happened in the past or is happening right now. Really, really streamlined, really, really easy to do that. There's a mobile app that my principals and my superintendents really like. They can access everything through a web portal, through their app, if they need to. Another thing I really like is if there's tampering on the camera. So if somebody's messing with it, if a kid jumps up and punches it or something like that, I get a text that tells me the camera's been tampered with, and then I can literally sends me a picture and shows me right where it happened. I click the link, I see it happened, and then I get to walk down and talk to the student about why we don't jump up and punch cameras in the hallway. I can also set motion alerts if I wanted to too. Haven't really had a use for that at this point, but in the event that like a server room or something like that, somebody broke in after a specific set of hours, I would be able to get a text that shows the door opened or something along those lines. So super, super robust system, and a lot of alerts and manageability, I guess, or management capabilities that allow me to give the right people access to the right cameras and control basically who needs to see what and how we distribute that information to those that need to see it afterwards if we do. So yeah, I've had a great experience with them. The uptime has been phenomenal. You think about cloud-based solutions and, well, is this down, 10% of the time or whatever? No, I really honestly can't think of the last time when our cameras haven't been accessible. It's just that they just work. So That's been really good too. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about them. And we're about 3/4 the way through our elementary install project here, and excited to get those going. We have not looked into the door systems, but we're having preliminary discussions on those too, and I've heard really good things about that. So that's my experience thus far.
Thanks, Brent. We did get a question right towards the end of that. I don't know. I'll read it out loud. How are your buildings addressing unlocking doors for students, guests entering the building during the day? Is the office staff using the web page or an iPad with the mobile app? And either Brent or Jason, if you guys want to touch base on that, that'd be awesome.
So we're using a different system. Jason, it might be better for you to answer that from a Verkada standpoint. We have not transitioned to that door access software again. I'd be curious to see how that's going for you too. So good question.
But most of our main entrances, we have the A-phone buzz-in system that we still use. So our secretaries will be able to see and hear the person that's coming to the door, ask for identification, and once they're comfortable allowing that person in, they buzz them in, and then we have the Raptor system, the next step. But we do in some situations, if the door does not have an A-phone, we do provide access to some of our employees to the mobile app, so they can use the mobile app to unlock a door. And I believe it's a 15-second unlock that initiates, and you can program that probably longer if you wanted to, or shorter.
That's great. I, in a lot of times in conversations that I have with schools around the state, this is kind of a question for you two as well. Some schools don't have any access control or very limited cameras. When you guys were deciding to add access control, maybe more towards Jason's side here, do you guys have a single point of entry at every school, and what kind of went into the conversation around some of those decisions?
We don't have a single point of entry at all of the schools, unfortunately. Although 3-4 years ago, they did start spending some capital project dollars on creating an entrance at each building that was more secure. Kind of you would enter from the exterior into a kind of a small vestibule, and then there would be an area that somebody could talk to you through, kind of a bullet resistant glass, and then they could buzz you in the next set of doors. However, we have 14 different staff entrances around the building that that aren't secured in that manner, that if somebody really wanted to get in, they're just going to follow a staff member up the sidewalk and get in. But that's a conversation we're having now, is do we want to try to funnel more of our staff and our community members to a single point of entry, so we have greater control and have more of those doors locked down on so that we reduce the risk of somebody sneaking in a side door.
Great, thank you. I think we can hop over into a quick demo of the Verkada product suite. They do a really great job with their products. If you guys have questions, we're gonna hop right into Q&A after this demo's all the way through, and probably 10-15 minutes. And so if you guys do have questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A, and then we'll go over them after the demo here.
Perfect. Thanks, Tanner. So guys, I'll just start off with a couple slides here, super brief. I'm not sure how many people on this call are IT superintendents, principals, facilities. So we're pretty brief on the technical aspects, but I do want to highlight the differences. So as you're aware, we are Verkada. So we're founded in 2016, growing really, really quickly. We're actually the fastest growing physical security company in the world, with the goal of creating the most modern enterprise physical security system on the market. So what that means for the end customer and the user, no more NVR, DVR, servers, thick clients, all that kind of back-end hardware that Jason and Brent had mentioned earlier. Everything is managed on the device itself, and you have built-in storage on each device, and you utilize the cloud to communicate with that device. The vision to protect people, assets, and privacy. And where we're headed as a company is essentially becoming the full operating system for building security. So you have native integration with your cameras, access control, the environmental sensors that do things like detect vaping, professional monitoring, intruder alerts, panic buttons, things of that nature, and also guest management software as well. Some of our customers throughout the state of Iowa. So we're rather well deployed in Iowa K through 12. And these are your neighbors more or less, right? So I would recommend potentially reaching out to these guys. If you like what you see what their experience is like, take it from them instead of me. So these are our products today. I kind of went over all of them just a minute ago, but this is our offering and this will be increasing at the end of the month. Also, we have some product releases coming out. So this will be brief, but here you can see a traditional architecture, right? So you have your IP cameras wired into a switch, all locally recording to an NVR, DVR, whatever it might be, perhaps servers. And then you're viewing everything locally on some sort of viewing station. And if you want some sort of remote capability to view your devices or your security cameras when you're at home or at a different building, you're more or less going to have to VPN into your network, typically poke a hole in your firewall, and that would allow for that remote access, which can create some vulnerabilities from a cybersecurity perspective. Also, the NVR or server is also a single point of failure, or if that goes down, smashed, wherever it might be, you're going to lose that footage. Traditionally, we just see kind of a lot of moving parts, a little bit cumbersome to configure, and potentially expensive to replace these and actually maintain these systems as well. And by comparison, this is Verkata's architecture. So again, each device actually has built-in storage and retention, whether that's cameras or access control. On the camera side, you get anywhere from 30 to 365 days of video on a solid state drive on the camera itself. From there, very, very easily installed and configured and scaled. Just plug and play Cat5, Cat6 cable right into a switch, and then it's just communicating with the cloud, roughly sending emails over your network every 20 seconds. So we're operating at 20 kilobits per second. And that allows for that limitless scale with our architecture and elimination of all that backend hardware that was really hard to manage in years past. And as Jason mentioned, or I think it was Brett actually, we have a mobile app as well, 5-star rated. And that's just kind of the difference in architecture as a nutshell. And nice thing about being a manufacturer and working with companies like Bytespeed is we have healthy inventory today for trials. So everyone on this call is actually allowed to get a free trial. So we're gonna go ahead and hit you guys with these just in your email box. So go ahead and fill that out at your convenience, but you can actually try this product out for free for 30, 60, or 90 days. And it would just really take like myself or Daisy getting on the phone with you afterwards for about 20 minutes to configure everything on the back end. Cool. So to actually view Verkata Command, we utilize Okta to authenticate, and we don't have to download any sort of software or an app or anything like that. We just live right out of Google Chrome here. So this is the homepage of Verkata Command. From here, we can see my cameras, access control, the environmental sensors, the alarms and panic buttons, and guest management as well. For the sake of time and the relevance on today's call, I'm probably just going to focus on a high-level camera and access control portion. Here you can see all of our cameras in real time in our headquarters in San Mateo, California. Now, if I want to view different devices and buildings, we integrate with Google Maps as well. I'm clicking on a particular site. You can say this is potentially a high school. All these cameras are lit up in green, meaning they're healthy, live, and recording. If any of these cameras is to go down for any reason, we're going to send you a proactive text or email alert letting you know, hey, camera's down, might want to take a look at it. From there, go ahead and open up a help ticket. So with Verkata, you have built-in help and support. So these are actually our engineers in California. It's not a bot or someone across the world. These are the people that build the product and work with it every day. They diagnose and fix 95% of your issues. If there's something they can't fix, we have a 10-year warranty on every single product. So we'll drop ship you a new one to replace it overnight. You'll be back up and running. Clicking on a particular site, you have the ability to upload floor plans of your facility and drag and drop cameras to do things like track motion in real time. What's nice about this is not only can you see it yourself, but you can actually share entire sites of cameras, a single camera feed, all your camera feeds, or historic clips just via text or email. So I could actually enter someone's phone number or email into this and send out this floor plan and the activity of it in real time, giving us that proactive layer of security that we're looking for. Another nice thing that I believe Jason had mentioned is we offer automatic software and firmware updates. So this wasn't even a feature, say, a year ago. And one day our customers woke up and they had the ability to do this without even knowing until the next day. Cool. In terms of actually looking for footage, we try to make it as easy as possible to do so. So again, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, running this webinar, but this is out in California and I'm 700 miles away and I have full visibility, totally encrypted into what's going on across the country. So looking for a particular bit of footage, a couple things we can do. We can actually hover over these thumbnails that are broken into 24-hour increments and scrub for footage just by moving my mouse left and right. You'll notice the camera is actually finding people and vehicles by placing those bounding boxes around them, indicated by those blue tick marks below. Want to get a more granular search going, I can break these down into 1 hour increments and hover my mouse just over the same way. Now, let's say that someone stole this bike in the middle of the night and we want to look for just a particular area where motion was detected. We can filter this for people so we don't get any false positives should that plant, blow in the wind over there or the door swing open wide. We can actually do a search for just people crossing that exact plane. So let's say with that search, we saw, as I switch for a different camera here, someone wearing the color blue who had ripped off that bike. This is the office in Salt Lake. I switched over from California to Salt Lake just by clicking a button, and we can actually search for unique people attributes as well. So I'm gonna do a search for the person who stole the bike. We saw they're wearing upper body color blue. And just like that, we can see all the times that search matches those parameters, right? From here, okay, maybe we got a good look at the individual. I'll actually upload a picture of myself here, but we can upload faces of either students or anyone we want into Verkada Command here. And there's a couple things we can do with that. So I'm just searching this one camera where I'm going to be seen in Salt Lake City. And these are all the times that this face has been seen on this exact camera. We can search all cameras from here as well. And we can also craft profiles of people of interest. So I can actually go ahead and name this, say this is a student that we had to expel. He's not allowed to be back on campus, or perhaps a parent with a restraining order. By toggling on this person of interest notification, we're going to send you a proactive text or email letting you know, hey, person X has been seen on your campus. You might want to take a look. Now, clicking on a particular clip, let's say this is what we need to find, and we want to share this with police. First and foremost, you can add your police into Verkada Command here. They can access your organization whenever they'd like, should you choose to do so. If we don't want to do that, all I have to do is craft an archive here. By default, we're going to take 30 seconds before, 30 seconds after this exact moment. Add whatever notes you want. You can make these archives as long as you like as well. If you want it to be an hour, you can do so. 10 seconds, you can do so. By crafting this, it's going to take this clip and copy it off the solid state drive in the camera. Then it'll exist right here in the cloud. Now you have an unlimited amount of cloud space with Verkada. We don't charge for storage. We don't charge for features. Everything you see is what you get out of the box, no questions asked. Clicking on a particular clip, a couple things you'll notice. Our camera is recording 24/7, 24 frames per second, making this footage completely admissible in court. And if we wanted to share this footage, we can either download an MP4 onto our computer, or we can simply share it via text or email as well. Pretty high level camera demo there. There are more features and functionalities I'm happy to go over with someone else at a later date. Should you want to see more, we have things like license plate recognition, alerts for license plates, vehicle searches, things of that nature. But for the sake of time, we'll pop into access control right now. So Verkada access control, just like the cameras, onboard storage and retention. And without server overhead, we're able to deliver a very modern, very proactive, very plug and play access control solution. We work with existing door hardware, so it's a little bit easier on the installation side. We integrate with Wiegand protocol readers. So anything that's like HID readers, things of that nature, we can make those configurations. It's really just a matter of switching out the access control panel itself. So these are all the access control points I have access to view. Now clicking on a particular door here, you'll notice that it's paired with Verkada cameras for context to events. Now, first thing I'll note is, let's say someone came to our school after hours to make a delivery and there's no one there to let it in. And we don't want to have to get off the couch and go, make someone on a Saturday or whatever it might be, let in a delivery person. We can initiate a remote unlock, see with visual context as the person comes and leaves, and that event is logged right here as well. Another key reason people in K-12 are coming over to Verkada access control is the ability to lock down your facility with ease. So you can actually lock down your facility anywhere at any time. You have an infinite number of lockdown scenarios that you can set up, as well as the outputs of, okay, does this require a police badge scan to get through? Does it require a superintendent, principal, whatever it might be? We can make an infinite number of configurations with our access control, essentially. Now we can look for different events over time as well. So you can see everything in the last year. We store a full year's worth of data in access control. We can search per user, and we look for any of these events, whether it's something benign like a access granted, or things a little bit more dangerous like a door forced open, and things a little more strange such as tailgating. So tailgating actually indicates one badge scan and 2 individuals going through a door. Again, these are all time-stamped, and you can actually just hover over these thumbnails to investigate this clip. As we can see, 1 badge scan, 2 people coming through there. Now, managing who has access to what door, very easy to add users into certain groups, add those groups into different access control sites or just specific doors, and just like that, they have access. And you can set your schedules from anywhere at any time. So should your school front door need to be open from 8 until 5, you can do so on the weekdays. Maybe you have a group of people that like to play basketball on Saturdays and needs to be open from 10 to 12. You can set that. And we can set exemptions as well. So say for whatever reason you want the school to be open on Christmas or St. Patrick's Day, whatever it might be, you can set all those exemptions right from here. I'll go ahead and pause there. I want to keep that pretty brief. Again, there are more functionalities, and I'm happy to go over some more aspects of our platform, whether it's the vape detection and monitoring your environment in real time, the alarms, the panic buttons, things of that nature, and our guest management platform as well. But I'll take a second to pause here for questions.
Jason, can you talk about how you allow staff members to use access control? Do they use their apps on their phones to use the Bluetooth unlock doors, or do they have badge scanners?
The majority of our employees just have a badge, and they have a badge reader at most of the entrances. There are a handful of employees, in particular when we have teachers go out for recess and there is potentially a substitute. We have some badges designed for that, or actually we have some badges designed for that they can take out, or the schools have been set up to use the app on their phone for those recess doors. So there are some staff that use the mobile app, but most just simply use their badge.
Looks like we're getting a question from Riley McLaughlin. Is the grant available for Ohio? And if so, who qualifies for the grant and how do we apply for it? So at this time, I don't think Ohio has announced this. I know it's happened in a couple states, including Iowa, which is where myself and Daisy cover, and then where Brent and Jason live. But I don't believe so at this time. I could be wrong.
There is an Ohio grant. And Riley, I will have Steve reach out to you directly to give you more information about the Ohio grant specifically. You should see that probably sometime today or tomorrow, but I'm on it. And thanks for your question.
One thing I want to note as well is supply chain's been tough for a lot of industries, organizations throughout the last year or two. Vercotta's done it very well. We've actually increased production by 30% this year to keep up with that and with the growth that we are experiencing as an organization. Point being is we can still support summer installs and deliver most orders even next day. So if you guys are trying to make changes this summer, there's still time. You can talk to myself, Daisy, Tanner, and we can get something going as well.
We have heard some rumblings about the ability to backdate purchasing. So if you had made a purchase at one point, look into that before trying to utilize these funds. There may be, if you purchased in June, we're not sure if it's by install date or purchase date, but you may be eligible for some of these funds for projects that were already completed or have already been completed this summer. Feel free to reach out. We're going to learn more and more about this over the next couple of weeks and months. So we'll try to stay in the loop and answer as many questions as possible as we learn that information. I don't see any other questions in the chat. We were trying to keep it right around a half hour, schedule it for an hour just in case there was a lot of questions. Feel free to reach out. We'll be sending this recording out to everyone that attended today. If you have questions, if you want to talk about a specific portion of your project, let us know. We both want to be a resource. We all want to be a resource. As more and more schools are filling out their assessments, we want to share how that experience is going. I don't anticipate it being super simple. You know, it's going to be a state funding that we all kind of know how those go sometimes. So, but we want to be here to help. So feel free to reach out, keep us in the loop. If you need someone on site to do a walkthrough, if you want help with your assessment, we're happy to answer any of those questions that come up. With that, thanks everyone for coming today. Thanks to the panelists. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone.